1 year ago, a little boy vanished while he was playing in his grandmother's backyard. One moment, William Tyrrell, dressed in his favourite Spider-Man suit, was playing games with his mum and sister. The next, he was gone, as if he'd disappeared into thin air. Initial panic by his family slowly turned into the darkest of despair, and a whole year later, they are simply heartbroken. Who would take their vivacious, funny, innocent 3-year-old boy? It's a question that torments one of Australia's toughest and most experienced detectives, who's heading the task force into William's disappearance. And tonight, we have unprecedented access to that investigation. We also hear, for the first time, the full story from William's parents, who want us all to know about their boy and understand their agony, in the hope that someone may have the courage to reveal information that will bring William home. A little boy full of life.
Ready, set, yay!
3 years old, cheeky, adorable, and most of all, loved.
Wherever we went, eyes would just be drawn to him. He's just got the most amazing smile. And the smile would just light up his entire face, and it's just got this giggle that just follows it. It's just amazing. It was just everything for him was just absolute joy.
And this is William, you know, and I hear him. I hear his voice. Without watching a video, I can hear him say things. But I see all this stuff and it tears me apart.
Daddy! Daddy!
Where's Daddy?
Daddy!
William Tyrrell would have turned 4 by now. But his life is frozen in time. Because 12 months ago, this gorgeous little boy vanished while on a family holiday to Nana's house in the country.
William was stolen. He was abducted, he was kidnapped, he was stolen. Whatever word you want to use, somebody decided to take him.
The offender was in that area. This is a head start we've got with an investigation that you don't get with a lot of investigations.
Detective Inspector Gary Jubilin heads Task Force Roseanne, the team of detectives searching for William Tyrrell.
Locking down the detail is the key.
We have unprecedented access to their investigation, inside their command centre and inside the mind of a 20-year homicide veteran.
Every day I wake up, I think this is going to be the day. Whenever the phone rings, I'm thinking this might be the breakthrough that we're looking for. So, always got that.
William's parents also wake every day, desperately hoping for that breakthrough. They walk the same beach where William loved playing and long to be hand in hand with their boy. But these toys are all they have to hold on to.
One's a little Spider-Man toy that he always used to play with all the time.
Private family matters mean the family and we can't show their full identity. But this is the first time they've been able to tell their story freely, so people can understand their loss and know a lot more about their boy.
Happy birthday, William.
What are some of the other things that he has?
Probably the one that he always slept with most of the time. When we always went to bed, he would always ask for it. And it was literally little Tara.
There are always funny things they get attached to, aren't they?
Yeah, and I just, he can't sleep without little Tara. So, yeah.
These are the things that were inseparable from him.
Yeah. So, I just need him to be sleeping with something that he loves, looking after him, because he doesn't have little Tara.
I can even see the way you're holding it now. This is the most tangible thing you have right now.
That's all we've got of him. We've got everything that he played with and he loved, but that's all we've got. We don't have our boy. We need him home.
There are legal complications in relation to the family, but does that have any bearing on William's disappearance at all?
No, it has absolutely no bearing. I know there's speculation on behalf of the public, but it has no bearing on the disappearance of William at all.
For the record, can you rule out that there is any family involvement in William's disappearance?
Yes, we've ruled that out.
The town of Kendall is half an hour from Port Macquarie on the New South Wales mid-north coast. It's a peaceful country town, popular with families and retirees. William's nana lived here on this big, tranquil bush block just on the edge of town.
And having been there, this is a happy home, a big, safe backyard, and a very quiet, safe neighbourhood.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cul-de-sac.
No reason to think otherwise. No reason at all to think otherwise. The furthest thing from our mind.
It was a last-minute decision to visit Nana's. Young William and his slightly older sister get a delightful surprise when their parents pick them up from daycare early for the 4-hour drive north from their Sydney home. The next morning is Friday, September 12th, 2014.
We wake up, we hear giggling and laughter and me telling everybody to be quiet and not wake up Nana because Nana was still asleep.
On that morning, William dresses in his favourite Spider-Man outfit. His businessman father briefly leaves the house to get better mobile phone reception and run a few jobs in town. William, his sister and mum go outside to play and explore in Nana's expansive backyard.
I thought I'd see if he wanted to climb some trees, so I was holding him up and saying, "Do you want to climb a tree?" And he was like, "No, Mummy, too high." And then we were playing, and I was playing Mummy Monsters, and so he's chasing me, and I'm doing the whole rah thing, and you know I'm chasing him, and he's giggling his head off.
That great photo of William in his Spider-Man suit, that was taken on the deck.
Yes, it was really weird because he was doing rah, Daddy Tiger.
Rah, 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 rah.
And that photo I took was, he was actually looking up at me, and I've sort of crouched down in a really weird position and taken the photo. And it was mid-roar, which is why his mouth's wide open.
That was part of the game.
Yeah, that was
he
the
playing.
rah, Daddy Tiger thing, and that was a rah.
Rah.
When was the last you saw him?
Playing around that patio area. Mum and I were sitting on 2 chairs, and then he jumped off. And he was playing on the grass. And then what he did was he went just around to the right. I could still hear him. He was roaring. And then, nothing.
What was the very last you saw or heard of William?
That was it. So that's my last sound memory of William is rah. And then it's nothing. And then it's just silence and he's just vanished.
We've literally got a situation where a child has disappeared, and as if it was just plucked, or William was just plucked from the air.
I couldn't see him. I couldn't hear him. It was the world, you know, it's like the world just came to a screaming halt. There was no wind, There were no birds, there was no movement, there was nothing. And I'm looking out around this garden, I'm thinking, where are you? And I've just said, William, where are you? You need to talk to me, I can't see you. Where are you? And there was nothing.
Detective Gary Jublin retraces William's last steps.
So we jumped down here.
Yes, that's right.
After that,
After that, headed off around in this direction, around the corner of the house. The mother still heard, she heard him say roar, again in keeping with the game that he was playing at the time.
and that
William.
we think is around about here.
Yeah, this general area, because it was out of sight and she heard it, and that was the last time she heard William.
Detective Jublin believes William wanders down the slope towards the tree where he'd been playing with his mother just an hour before.
I'm looking here and thinking, well, the child's not going to wander up into the bush.
It's a steep hill.
It's a steep hill,
Yeah.
It's thick bush, it's scary. For a 3-year-old child, it's scary. There's a fence line there. I can't see him going through the fence line. I can see a child wandering off down the slope.
At the time, William was excitedly waiting for his father to return. He and his 4-year-old sister would often make a game of it.
They always run to the gate
They-
normally at
yeah,
home, and
yeah.
they're looking out for me and my car.
And I
or they
remember
can hear it.
saying, can you see Daddy's car? And there was no answer. There was no answer. And then I raced back around and I said to Mum, he's not there, he's gone. And she said, what do you mean he's gone? And I said, he's disappeared, he's not there. I just kept racing around the house going, where are you? You've talked to me, where are you? And I couldn't see him. And I couldn't hear him. And I just didn't know where he was.
By now, William's dad arrives home. Distraught, he is joined by neighbours in the search. Both parents know their cautious boy just wouldn't wander off.
I thought I won't call the police straight away just in case he's next door or
He turns up.
or he just turns up. Just
You just
in
could never
case.
have imagined that
No,
he'd be taken.
I didn't expect any of this to happen. I expected him to be back. I phoned the police or the 000 number, and I just think to myself, keep it together, keep it together, keep it together, keep it together. Because it was just becoming so real that we had no idea where he was. So I phone, and I just say, our child's missing.
Coming up,
Missing 3.5-year-old. Been missing since 10:30.
their worst fears are realised.
Somebody has taken William.
If he was missing, we'd have found him by now.
Inside the investigation,
Bill Spedding has been identified publicly. He's been spoken to by investigators. It's known that he had been to the grandmother's house to service a washing machine. There are questions about his alibi. Is Bill Spedding a person of interest in this case?
that's next on 60 Minutes.
It's the morning of Friday, September the 12th, 2014. Little William, just 3 years old, has been playing in the backyard of his grandmother's home on the New South Wales mid-north coast. He wanders around the side of the house, nothing unusual. But a few minutes later, when his mum goes looking for him, William is nowhere to be seen. She searches, getting more worried by the second. And with no sign of William, she rings 000.
Yeah, hi, my son is missing. He's 3.5. Sorry.
Your address?
48 Centeroon Drive, Kendall.
How long has he been missing?
I think Well, we've been looking for him now for about 15 or 20 minutes, but I thought it could be 5, it could be longer, because he was just playing around here. We heard him and then we heard nothing.
I said right at the beginning, somebody has taken William. He was absolutely screaming at me.
Origin 18, cars in the vicinity. Missing 3.5-year-old. Been missing since 10:30.
Senior Constable Chris Rowley is just 4 kilometres away when the call goes out to all local police cars. He lives in Kendall, has 3 children of his own, and knows Benaroon Drive well. What's your first encounter when you arrive in the neighbourhood?
When I turned into Benaroon Drive, I ran into Mum in the street. She was obviously out searching. She was obviously upset.
The first officer on the scene, Chris gets the family back to the house to search the place inside out, just in case William is hiding. It's here he meets his dad.
Yeah, he was a mess. You could just tell he was distraught.
When you're a father, what do you say to another father?
I just, just touched him on the shoulder. I said, mate, we won't stop. Okay, I'll be here tomorrow. There'll be more of us. It'll get bigger and bigger, and we'll keep looking.
It did get a lot bigger. By the end of the day, 200 police, SES and locals were searching for William. As night passes, Vanessa Partridge is the first detective sent to Benaroon Drive. Also a local and a mother, straight away she just knows something isn't right.
I got out of the car and I had this feeling that things weren't right. There's something wrong. William's not missing.
Well, that's a
William's
gut
not
instinct.
missing. Yeah.
That he's not missing, that you're dealing with something bigger than just a child who's wandered off.
I just kept thinking if he was missing, we'd have found him by now.
And her worst fears are right. A week passes and no one finds William. Not in the bush, not in any dams or drains. He has vanished. Police make the heartbreaking decision to tell his family to pack the car and drive home to Sydney.
We've got his bike.
toys.
We've got his suitcase. We've got all his
Spider-Man
clothes.
toys.
We've got
little Tara.
We've got little Tara. We've got everything, but we don't have him.
Except him.
You don't have William.
And I walked inside, and I walked past his room. I had no legs. I just collapsed. We had to go back to our house, our family, without him. It was heart-wrenching. When I go into his room and I'd say goodnight to him, and I'd lie on his bed, and I'd cut a little Tara, and I would just pray that he wasn't scared, and somebody was loving him. Because it's just, you can't take him.
I don't. Well, I apologise.
Sorry.
No, you don't say sorry. I don't know how you're doing it, quite frankly.
You have to. There's no other option.
You are so strong, though.
There's no other option. Life doesn't stop, it keeps going.
Days have become months, and months now a year, and still no William.
1 year on from his disappearance, why haven't you found William?
We're making progress, but I'd have to say that we're not comfortable with the fact that 12 months down the track and we still haven't found out what's happened to William.
Just how big is this operation?
Probably to put it in perspective, there's over 5,000 documents that have been created in regards to this investigation. We have in excess of 1,400 information reports. This is information that's come from the public.
Something that hasn't been made public is the number of search warrants you've executed in the search for William. Can you give us more detail of that?
There's been other searches and search warrants that have been executed that the public are not aware of.
How many people have been interviewed so far?
In excess of 1,000.
Is there a single person of interest?
There's not one single person of interest, there's a number of persons of interest.
One of those persons is this man, Bill Spedding. He's the local repairman who was at William's grandmother's home just 4 days before he disappeared.
We're cooperating with the police.
His house has been searched and septic tank drained.
Help me understand, please, the link between the person, Bill Spedding, and your mother's house, the place where William went missing.
He was repairing Mum's washing machine. When we arrived on the Thursday night, and Mum already had washing piling up, so I thought I would phone in the morning and just find out when that part had arrived and when he was coming back to install the parts. So I called and left a message.
Can I ask, is there the possibility that he knew that you were going to be arriving and that obviously young William would be with you?
I don't know. I mean, anything's possible, but I don't know.
Since becoming a person of interest in William's case, Spedding has been charged with child sex offences dating back to 1987. The charges are unrelated to William's disappearance, for which he denies any involvement.
Bill Spedding has been identified publicly. He's been spoken to by investigators. It's known that he had been to the grandmother's house to service a washing machine. There are questions about his alibi. Is Bill Spedding a person of interest in this case?
Michael, I can't comment on specific persons of interest.
Would there be pressure on Bill Spedding today, 12 months on from William's disappearance?
I won't speak specifically on a particular person, but what I will say is anyone that's considered a person of interest for us should feel the pressure, because we're not giving up on this and we'll continue on.
Detective Inspector Jubilant now has a theory as to what happened to William in those short, terrifying minutes 1 year ago. He discounts the idea an abductor ran up the yard and onto the property to take the little boy.
Look at the house up there. You don't know who's looking out. You don't know who's looking there. To do that, I think it's very audacious, but unlikely, extremely unlikely.
William used to play a game where he'd run down the driveway for Dad to come home. Is that likely what brought him right down to the edge of the road? He's looking out for Dad?
Yeah, I can understand how a 3-year-old might think Dad's coming home, waiting for him, knowing he was due home soon, and coming down the roadway and looking for him. Then, if someone who has the propensity to commit an evil act like this decides this is a situation that I'm going to take advantage of, and that's why we call it an opportunistic situation, opportunistic crime.
Do you have to put yourself in a very dark place and look at it through the eyes of the potential perpetrator and the possibility of a potential pedophile?
You've got to put the pedophile hat on, so to speak, and look through their eyes. What would they see? What are they doing? Why would they react that way?
Who would be driving in here?
It's a dead-end street. It's obviously a dead-end street. You're coming up here for a reason here. You don't come up here by accident or by chance.
The fact that he's in the Spider-Man suit helps your scenario too, doesn't it? Because it's very easy for a stranger to say, hey, Spider-Man.
Yeah, I think the Spider-Man suit plays a part in this, in that exactly. Any stranger could come up and you could get a rapport happening with William straight away by calling him Spider-Man.
Which absolutely gives you the chills when you stand here, to think that it's happened that quickly.
Yeah, and then that person has decided to take a 3-year-old child, snatch a 3-year-old child. And that's those two worlds colliding, and I say it's like evil meeting innocence.
We imagine what was going through his head when that was happening. He would have been beside himself. He would have been petrified.
That tears my heart out.
Yeah.
It's really, really disturbing.
Yeah. And he would have been desperate for us to come and get him. Absolutely desperate.
He would have been thinking,
and
when are they coming for me? Where are they? Why aren't they here? I mean...
But after William was taken, where did he go? There are only two ways out of this neighbourhood. At this T-junction, one road goes through the tiny town of Kendall. The other is a quiet country road that winds through bushland. Both are very easy routes for the abductor to go unnoticed. And choosing which way right now is pure guesswork, making William's disappearance an even greater mystery.
Stranger abduction is incredibly rare. How rare is it as a crime?
Oh, it's very rare. Like, we're talking a 3-year-old child too, and invariably when people abduct a child that they want, say, a childless couple, they're younger children. If you look at the possible scenario of a pedophile abducting a child, generally they're older, so it's a fairly unique crime.
Coming up, the new evidence made public for the first time.
We've got the general description of the vehicle.
Sightings of William.
I had goosebumps.
And a mother and father's heartbreaking appeal.
Remember being 3? What was your world when you were 3?
There's always a chance. I've tried to hold on to that.
That's next on 60 Minutes.
When little William Tyrrell went missing, he was wearing the most distinctive of outfits. His Spider-Man suit. It was his favourite. Now, a year on, that outfit is a haunting reminder for William's parents of the day he went missing. And for detectives, it is a key aspect of their investigation.
It's a 2-piece set. This almost identical suit was ordered by the police from the exact shop in Bali where William's parents bought his.
So you've had a lot of sightings or people calling in saying, I found a Spider-Man suit?
Yeah, and we get that, and we're encouraging the public to come forward with that type of information, but just to help us sift through all the information. It is a 2-piece suit, it's not a jumpsuit or whatever, and it's this size. So if there's something that they come across that's suspicious, we are interested in it. But yeah, gives you a sense of it, doesn't it?
Very sadly it does. I think the thing that strikes me the most is just how little this fella was.
Yeah.
This is a little tiny guy.
Yeah, it brings it home, doesn't it, when you can see the size of it, and if someone, William, fits into that, how small he was, and to be taken in the circumstances he's taken, it's just horrific.
Then there's the information that for the first time tonight is being made public by police. William's mother also saw 2 cars earlier that morning, parked strangely with the driver windows down. The specific makes and models of the cars are not known.
Oh, we've got the general description of the vehicles. One's a white station wagon, another is a older style greyish coloured sedan. But what makes us suspicious of these particular vehicles is that they weren't parked in a driveway, they were parked in between driveways. So we're talking on acre lots, the driveways are about 100 metres apart.
Suspicious because in that neighbourhood, even if you're visiting a relative or doing some business there or some work on the house, you park in the driveway or on the land because the lots are that big.
Yeah, there's no logical explanation as to why they would park in the location they were. And they were very close to each other. Given that it's a dead-end street, that raises our curiosity. And we're interested in finding out who these people are and what they were doing there at the time.
And the best William's family can do, as birthdays pass and another Christmas approaches, is to appeal to anyone who may have suspicions about a loved one being involved in their boy's disappearance.
The person who took William might have a family of their own.
Yep.
They've got friends. I don't understand how someone who may think, even if it's like 50% chance this person may have done something to this little boy.
Or know something.
That they can sit next to them, that they can watch TV, that they can have a meal with, they can have a coffee with. How on earth can they, in all good conscience, sit there and condone that person taking a child? Defenceless, helpless, 3-year-old child. How on earth?
Innocent little boy.
Completely innocent. It's not right. And how on earth can you sit there and say it's okay with your silence? Because it's not okay.
Because somebody knows
Absolutely.
what happened to William.
Absolutely somebody knows what happened to William.
Without doubt.
Without a doubt.
Without doubt.
They absolutely know.
If you've got any doubts, you look at someone and you've got suspicion, pass that suspicion on to police.
They are evil by association now, aren't they?
100%, no excuse. I can't even fathom what an excuse would be not to pass this information on. If you're protecting someone that you think's involved in this, you're as bad as the person involved in it.
That person or those people's silence is a crime.
That is a crime. It's concealing a serious offence. There's been a lot of activity of police in the area.
This coming week, it will be a year since a good boy from a good family disappeared from his grandmother's backyard.
12 months, guys.
Barely a day passes where Detective Inspector Gary Jublin is not in contact with William's family. He just wishes he had more to tell them.
I don't think you'd be human, or you wouldn't have emotion if you couldn't be touched on by what they're going through. It's a living nightmare.
Do you feel like you're failing them by not being able to provide them that very clear answer about where he is?
It does not sit well with me, and what I promise to them is that we'll do everything humanly possible to find out what's happened to William. I'm not giving up on this by any means.
I'm sorry to even have to ask this, but do you believe William is dead or alive?
We've had over 407 sightings of William since his disappearance, and sometimes we get excited about the sightings, and it was only 6 weeks or so ago where I liken it, probably the best way to describe it is I had goosebumps, and we genuinely thought that we had found William, but as that turned out that it wasn't the case. So we don't close our minds to any possibility.
Go, William.
I remember being 3. What was your world when you were 3? Your world was your mum and dad.
Yeah.
Your world was your family. What is William's world?
Very difficult question, but after a year... Excuse me. Do you allow yourselves to cling to hope that William will be found and found alive?
You have to. Well, I guess where there's a chance, there's always a chance, and that's. I've tried to hold on to that.
There's no evidence that says that he's not. There's nothing to suggest that he's not alive.
Yeah. But you need to... you need to bring William home.
Yeah. Yeah. He's got nowhere else to be but home.
That's where he should be.
That's where he needs to be.
For all of us.
Yeah, for him.
Detective Inspector Jublin has asked that if anyone has any information on William's disappearance, call Crime Stoppers on 1800 333 000, or please go to the Crime Stoppers website. Every piece of information helps.
Hello, I'm Liz Hayes. Thanks for watching. To keep up with the latest from 60 Minutes Australia, make sure you subscribe to our channel. You can also download the 9Now app for full episodes and other exclusive 60 Minutes content.